Welcome to the Sauvignon Blanc. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. I'm joined with Pete today. Hi, Pete. How are you doing?
What's up, everyone? I'm
Hey.
good. How about you? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm really excited to talk about this.
Mm.
We're going to talk about It Takes Two, and we're going to talk about couch co-op games and kind of the missing gem that it is now in the online sphere. Me and you recently played It Takes Two.
Yeah.
I think on reflection, we both agree it's probably better for like if I played it with my girlfriend or you played it with your girlfriend. Like it's not
I
the
mean, I,
best.
I don't know. Because for me, the story was quite a snooze. I completely ignored it. So,
Yeah,
so whatever.
that's what I mean
Yeah.
in relation to the story because it's a divorcing couple story that they find love and rekindle their love for each other. But
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, we'll talk about this later. But
we
I feel
will.
like it's kind of a joke, the story, and purposefully a joke. I
Yeah, of
mean,
course it is.
so
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
Whatever.
mean it's a non-factor at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you and I played this game, and I personally was blown away by the game's creative uniqueness, freshness, just vibrantness, and I really love the formula of the whole. Classically, you have the split screen, you have the two powers, you have set pieces of like little puzzles and interesting stuff that goes on. But like, it's not even the game. It's not that singularly that made me love the game. It was more like the animations and the style,
Yeah, it was just a really well made game on top of
really well made.
everything else. Yeah.
So I guess this is going to be a review overall of It Takes Two and why I love it, why you like it. I would like you to mention your criticisms too, because I personally don't really feel like I have much to say in that regard. But we had some problems with the game,
Oh,
some little gripes. But
I mean, I really enjoyed the game personally,
yeah,
a
me too.
lot. Yeah, but it's one of those things where, because if you think back on the games you used to play as a kid or couch co-op games, all you can really remember about them is that you had a really good time playing them, right?
Yeah,
Same thing here. Like for me, for something to blow me away, there has to be, I don't know, something on top of that, just on top of just general enjoyment. That's why. But I still love the game a lot. Yeah.
so I'm just looking up quickly the developer of It Takes Two because I want to make sure I quote
Hmm.
them right. So the guys that made It Takes Two are Hazelight Studios, and they also made the game A Way Out, which we also played.
Yeah.
And I'd like to just say that this game is a marathon of an improvement over A Way Out.
A
A
huge
marathon.
improve. Like, they were not even on the same plane of existence. Like, yeah.
So essentially, if you liked A Way Out, this game is a no-brainer. You buy this game because
If
this
you
game
if you
is
like the
so
way
much better.
out, you're going to love this game for sure. Yeah.
Unless you were a buyer expecting some sort of really great prison break story, and that's your genre,
I'm
I
sure there is
guess.
that one weirdo out there who specifically likes the way out just because of that.
So It Takes Two. Let's try to tackle what it's about, and then let's start talking about what it did well. The level design. We'll highlight some of the most amazing moments of the game and try to sum up our thoughts. So,
Yep.
um, let's try to describe quickly what the game is about. And what is it? Like if someone did not know what It Takes Two is, how would you explain it to them? Because for me, it's hard to just put the words
Really?
together.
For me,
Yeah,
it's quite easy.
go ahead, man.
So the story is about this couple, relatively young couple, and they're having relationship problems. And they also have a child, a daughter, more specifically. And the daughter overhears them arguing and overhears them talking about how they want to get a divorce. And so she starts playing with these two dolls that she made, and the dolls represent her parents. And she cries on them, and then the tears transfer the consciousness of the couple into the dolls, and then you have your
That's true.
adventure. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And in terms of how the gameplay mechanics work, it's harkening back to the traditional couch co-op games with split screen. And
Yep.
it's basically just about creating a cooperative, highly interactive, fun, creative experience, for two friends or couples, whatever, to play.
Lovers.
So
Yeah.
one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good explanation. I think what I was struggling to come up with words wise was how do you explain the gameplay because it's not really like a standardized model, right? You know, it shifts and changes. You have a lot of different ways the game puts you through the
Really,
levels.
but it's more of a thematic change. But the core
Yeah.
base mechanics are still ultimately the same. It has like a really Disney and Pixar feel to it.
Yes.
And basically, there's core mechanics. Basically, you can jump and double jump, and the animations
Hmm.
are really good for platforming. And you can basically help each other platform where necessary. If there's enemies to fight, you can help each other do it, and each player has his own individual mechanic that the other does not have, and the only way you can get through the map is if you work together, combining
Yes.
your two mechanics together. That's literally it, but the theme of it changes in really fun ways. That's the
And they sprawl in intermittently boss fights and
Some of
kind of
them actually pretty fun.
yeah, really
But
fun
yeah,
and somewhat challenging, some of them as well.
yeah.
Overall, not too challenging with
Mhm.
you know, that's something that you can gripe about with the platforming itself. It's not that difficult, and you're not really going to have a moment where you are puzzled, right? Not really.
No. You'll figure everything out
But it
quite
doesn't.
easily.
It's not to say that it treats you as if you are very stupid people. You know,
No, it's just really well made and streamlined, because the point of it is to just let you have fun
yeah,
right now,
and it
constantly.
works. It
Yeah,
really
that's
works.
the point, isn't it? To be like a challenge or something. Like, it can be a challenge, but it's supposed to be just challenging or easy enough on the right line, so you have fun right now,
Yeah.
and that's all it wants to do. So
All right. So with that in mind, so that hopefully we've explained what the
yeah.
game's core thing is about. Um, first of all, what was your favorite level? And then I think we should talk about those particular levels, and then we should outline what all of the levels are
Mhm.
and how long the game is and what people can expect from that. So, what was your favorite level, if you remember?
I really can't pick one because, like I
I
said, I
can.
really did enjoy the game a lot. So I liked a lot
Yeah.
of aspects of it. Um, I didn't necessarily prefer one over the other. There's one moment which I loved, which
Hmm.
was when we could towards the end, when we could program our own track, our own song.
Yeah.
Quite in quite simplistic fashion, but I thought it was really cool how it gave you some freedom to create different tracks, and then that track played right after, in a certain context, and you could hear your own song. I thought that was
Right.
really fun. Yeah. And then I really loved the snowy area where you could ice skate and
Oh, that was so
like
awesome.
do tricks. Yeah, but a lot of parts I liked. How about you?
So, well, I think I need to explain a bit more now because it's a lot to talk about. But
Hmm.
you have set pieces of free roam areas where you have certain large scale puzzles to solve. And then one of the missions in the snowy, there's this mission where you're in a snow globe in the story, and you get to use skiing mechanics to traverse the landscape. And you and your colleague, your friend, you have magnets to maneuver around. So you're jumping to and fro using each other's magnetic
Hmm.
uh, repulsive and attractive properties to get around. And there's this whole segment underwater where you're using magnets to just zoom,
Hmm.
and it's fantastic. I love that
Yeah, and there was also
visually.
this in that snowy area. Speaking about magnets, there was also this really dope area where it kind of feels like a Bond movie, because like I'm down here and I have a turret that shoots magnets, and Josh was up
Oh
on the
yeah, yeah,
mountainside and he had to scale the mountain, and I was shooting the magnets that he could attach himself to, and that it just felt like a spy flick or something. That
that
was
was
really
so
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was so cool. So like, there's so many moments that I would love to discuss in detail, but I don't think we can. But like, I love the chess that you can actually play chess in this game. There's a whole chessboard, and you can maneuver the pieces as your characters. I thought
Mhm.
that was amazing, and
Yeah.
I was so happy to beat you in that. That was fantastic. Loved it.
Yeah.
Um, there's okay. So in terms of the bosses, though, usually you typically get one or two bosses per level, and I believe there are 7 levels throughout the entire game. We played it for roughly around 13 to 14 hours, but we missed a sizable amount of mini games, and it's not like we were trying to miss them. We were trying to take time to explore and interact with everything in each level, but
I
it
don't
there's
think
quite a
we I don't think we missed that many. At the beginning we missed a few because for some reason we forgot. I don't know, we just forgot about the mini games towards the start. And like for maybe 2 chapters, we realized only after 2 chapters past it, like, oh, there's mini games, and
Yeah, yeah.
then we pretty much did all of them, I think. But
So
yeah,
yeah. We missed a few, unfortunately, but there's some fantastic ones where like you can create your own painting in the game, from the chess game to I'm struggling to think of something, but there's so many mini
oh,
games. There's
yeah,
pinball. There's pinball. I remember
there's
that one.
pinball. There's also
This
the racing
the
thing.
racing.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Um,
I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think in English you say scale electric or something. I don't know how I'm. Or is that the brand of a company that makes these? It's the electric controlled cars that are on a track. Yeah, that's the one we're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. There was loads. I can't even remember them all. There were so many.
Mhm.
But yeah. Aside from the mini games, which are a nice addition, that they're not the greatest things. There's something you can spend a few minutes on to do something. But there's also really convincing.
No, sorry, just to interject there. It's easy for somebody to say that, but you have to consider what they're replacing. What this game could have been is what it already is,
Mm.
but instead of the mini games, we had bullshit collectibles.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, for sure.
we just had to like climb to this area and then unlock this rudimentary thing for platinum the game. But
Sure,
instead
sure.
of doing that, they added an actual mini game, which is more interesting and creative and fun than any collectible could be. So I think they serve their purpose very
Okay.
nicely.
No,
Yeah.
no, I agree with that. And like
Yeah.
recently, I booted up my PlayStation 4 and I played a bit of Spider-Man, and it's littered with collectibles instead of mini games, and that's really sad.
Mhm.
I wish mini games were something that was more common in video games. So I
Yeah.
absolutely agree. I remember us playing Whack-A-Mole. That was the first mini game you
Yeah.
play,
Mhm.
and it was kind of hilarious. I just kept jumping up and down. You never could hit me, and it was
But I
pretty.
know I did still beat you
No,
after
well,
all.
maybe you did. Maybe I let you win.
No, no.
Maybe I was feeling bad.
No, you just sucked.
Oh, how rude. And
Um,
I wanted to move on to the boss fights though, because I felt the boss fights were also fantastic. And you like, I'm just going to list them. You have a boss fight in the first episode with a vacuum cleaner, which is amazing. And all the bosses are really cool and unique in their own ways. You have a wasp queen in the second level. In the third, you have a flying saucer elephant. Is it an elephant? Do you remember the flying saucer one? It's a
what?
baboon, sorry, in a UFO.
Oh yeah, the baboon.
The
Yeah.
baboon, yeah. Oh, but
That,
okay, I've kind of touched on it now, but we have to talk about the elephant. There are some really particularly weird feelings that come across emotively in
well,
this
no, it
game.
was just that one scene. But yeah, I thought
No,
that
it's
was an incredibly disturbing scene. There's this bit where the mission is you because of what's his name, but the idiot. They're both idiots, but the male idiot.
Cody and May.
Yeah, Cody. Because Cody has this idea that if he makes their daughter cry again onto them, they'll suddenly turn back into regular humans. And so, in order to do that, they decide that they have to scale like this city, or well, not the city, but like this castle, so that they can destroy this elephant toy that is the daughter's favorite toy. And you sure enough, you get to the elephant, and the elephant is like the nicest, sweetest fucking
Oh my
like
god.
yeah, just the like little girl at a tea party. And you just butcher this thing, you murder it in cold. You don't even have you
You
don't
rip
even
its
murder it in like a dignified way. Like they rip off its legs and its ears, and all the while the elephant is just crying and screaming in pain.
Oh, it was so
it was
weird.
just so disturbing to me. But
It felt like they missed something there. They thought maybe this would be a cool scene, but it just turned really wrong.
I think they thought it would be like, I don't know, kind of funny how they keep on accidentally like hurting it in different ways. But to me, it was just a little bit disturbing. And look, it's not because I'm sensitive or anything. I like Hitman is one of my favorite games. I love killing people in games, but this was like an innocent little toy. I don't know.
Yeah, it just didn't fit. But
yeah.
Moving on though, I think I wanted to just get this across before we conclude, like on talking about levels and specific scenes. You've got 7 really rich, really dynamic, really tailored and unique in their own right scenes, levels that you progress through. I think I think two of them, unfortunately, don't live up to the rest, and that's the garden sequence and the cuckoo clock.
Mm.
Personally, I found, even though perhaps the cuckoo clock, you go into this cuckoo clock where you're small as you are dolls, and one has the power to time travel, which is Cody, and May has the power to use a
Clone.
clone
Yeah.
to shift between two spots in time.
Mhm.
Really, everything was fantastic in terms of its concept, but its execution was truly, in my opinion, subpar to the remainder of the
You
game.
see, I disagree.
Fair enough. Tell me why.
I don't think they were any worse than the previous chapters.
Sure.
Still
Why
not
do you
as good
think
as
that?
still not as good as the standouts, but as far as like the general quality of them, I think they were around the same level. I think the reason that you think that they're subpar is because we were fatigued by the way the game works by that point.
Mm,
And so we were starting to like consciously make fun of it for stuff we
we
didn't
did.
before. And I think that's where that stems from. I think the issue with the game, it's not an issue. I think it was the right way to do it, but they built a really solid core framework which allows for the easiest way to incorporate creativity and new ideas.
Yeah.
But because that core is ultimately simplistic and not static, it's not dynamic, not really. Um, Past the point, it becomes fatiguing and it's no longer as
Right.
interesting. And I really think the game could not have been any longer than it is. It could have even been cut a little bit. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think that that's a limitation of stuff like this, is that
Hmm.
it has to be a certain length. That's all. That's my
Oh,
opinion.
I'm starting to see your point of view, to be honest,
Mhm.
but I don't really think we should delve into why the game has some flaws. At the end of the day, it's still a masterpiece in of what it's done,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
Um,
it's like amazing in what it's done.
oh,
Yeah.
I've got to mention this. This was my favorite moment from the game. There's
Mhm.
this moment, and it's in the whole sequence where you're in Rose's room,
Mhm.
and it's towards the end, and it's where you kind of go into a Magica like
Oh
bird's
yeah,
eye view.
yeah.
That was phenomenal, and you both get unique powers, and it's essentially the Magica games where you have the
Mhm.
two magic sorcerers who are going through a dungeon. Oh, that was just
Yeah.
see that's what the game does to you,
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. I just have something to add after you mentioned that. Like,
Sure.
even though I said it's static, the framework, and it's true, but the I think the fact that it's so creative consistently outweighs it for a considerable amount of time, and it does make it feel dynamic. Because there's a lot of these moments where the game kind of changes the way it works in ways you don't expect. Like Josh just described the one where it turns into like an
Yeah.
RPG, like isometric RPG, or like a Diablo. And
Yeah.
there's this happens constantly. There, like the first part where I thought I was like, okay, this is crazy, is when we were on the plane. Already, that's something new, right? We're flying a plane and we have to both maneuver it and do different things at the same time, which I thought was really cool. But on top of that, there's this moment where suddenly an enemy jumps on the plane, and the May and the enemy, the perspective changes, and they're suddenly in a Mortal Kombat fight, and there's
Yeah.
new like inputs to actually make it work like a Mortal Kombat fight. Just this happens constantly throughout the game. Just yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. And I should have
Mhm.
mentioned that. So it's a you're along this beautiful story. You're also getting these moments of surprise that are
Mhm.
quite consistent, right? So you just get shocked and wow, I didn't expect that to happen. No, I can't believe that
Mhm.
was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it takes two essentially.
And
And
because it's so well made, like whatever you do, it feels good because the animations are
oh, they're top notch.
just
Yeah.
so just top notch. um yeah, really, I don't really have many major gripes with it. It was like perfect for what it set out to do,
Well,
and truly creative. But if there is like one other gripe, despite the ones I've mentioned, the music was a little bit
mm,
not weak. Like it was perfectly adequate and serviceable, but there's some really nice ambient tracks in certain parts that enhance the moment. But there's
mm,
also parts where the music kind of isn't there. Um,
mm.
and I feel like it could have even used some scores, like an actual, like not an ambient score, but like an actual track, that licensed track at times too. But I guess that was to save money. So Yeah.
I agree with that point as well. My main criticism is still the story,
Oh
even though,
yeah. Oh yeah. Sure. Yeah.
well, it's just unfortunately, maybe it's the way that this particular story goes, but after a little while of playing the game, maybe halfway plus through, it really is just a matter of I don't. It's not that I don't care about these characters, but at the end of the day, they're dolls. They're dolls, so it's hard to care. But the whole plot with the
I don't
girl,
think
for
that's the
example,
issue. I don't think it's because they're
well,
dolls.
maybe it's not even that, but the daughter itself, I don't care about this sad little girl, unfortunately, and she blames herself for the parents' divorce, and I found that to be laughable. I was like,
No, I
please,
really I thought that was like the only part which is interesting because it shows how these situations can impact children and how they think. And that's quite I found it to be quite realistic. It's not laughable to me, but still I agree the story is quite but I think it was purposefully like this, and I think the main characters are purposefully unlikable so that you can make fun of them. And so despite it being a heavier subject matter, it's still consistently lighthearted, and the story just serves to heighten this atmosphere of fun and just kind of not taking things seriously because it's such a joke. Like I said, I think the story is purposefully a joke, but where it falls flat is because if that's what the story is, then why does it get like really melodramatic towards the end? And
oh
like,
yeah, right, that
yeah,
was.
that was really.
But you kept
For me.
saying to her, "You're not even singing." Like she was just,
Yeah, yeah. She was just kind of humming and making
yeah.
musical noises. She wasn't singing, but yeah.
So that's our review, I guess. For me, would you, if you were to give it a rating, maybe based off a 0 to 10 scale, I would probably put it firmly on an 8 for me. I
I
think.
don't I don't like ratings.
Nor
Um
do I, but we're doing it because that's what
um
we're doing. I think it's helpful.
eh,
I think it could even be a 9, but the story itself did bother
I
me,
think it
and
should be in like
a few of the levels.
everything has its own context, you know? Uh I think in its own context for what it set out to do, and in the dry considering the dry market for these types of games, considering how
Yeah,
much of an improvement it is on the previous one, and considering the incredible creativity and how they all meshed it together in like a really intelligent manner with the core framework of the game. um I think it's like near enough perfect for what it is.
yeah,
A 9 out of 10. But like I said, like for what it is, it's like a really good 9 out of 10. But for me, for the games I typically enjoy in general, on my scale, it's probably more like a 7.5 to 8.
yeah.
So
Right, right.
yeah.
I think I kind of feel the same way in some
Mhm.
sense, but I think for me, I still think they can improve upon this formula.
Yeah,
I
sure.
I still personally want to see couch co-op become the gem that it was once, especially back in the PlayStation 1 and 2 era. It was kind of the thing with PS1 and 2. I know we wanted to talk about just now a little bit more about couch co-op, but
Mm.
I, it's unfortunate, but with the advancement of online, couch co-ops become secondary in terms of development. But
Yeah.
games like this, they know the market's small. They come away and they kind of take everyone in that market because people still want to play these games.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah. I still don't think they'll ever make like a huge comeback because ultimately there's a reason why online is the norm now. It's people prefer that. Plus, we live in an increasingly antisocial, I think, world as
right.
well. People like to just sit alone at home and like play Call of Duty, I guess. Like there's not as much of this couch co-op thing going on, but I still think there is a market for sure out there, and I think we'll have more games that make money. I just don't think it'll become as big as it was again. That's all.
I think I also agree with you there. To be honest, yeah, it's a bit sad and a bit solemn because it's a shame. It's a bit It's a bit of a nostalgia there, right? To thinking about these kinds of games.
Yeah, yeah,
I wanted to mention a couple of highlights for me. You know, thinking about recent couch co-op games, I've played Overcooked
yeah. That was
well
good.
recently.
Hmm.
There hasn't been too much else that's really took the couch co-op section, except from A Way Out, which was their previous game, which I think was okay, pretty fine.
A Way Out, I feel like was a tech demo and proof of concept for It
Mm,
Takes Two. Like, I feel like they made A Way Out with some limitations to show the studios that this can work in
Mhm.
preparation for making It Takes Two.
Well, also to
Yeah.
test the formula of selling the game where one person buys it and then the
Yes,
other person gets the
exactly.
pass to come and join, which is something that I really think
Because
is
like
great.
A Way Out clearly had self-imposed limitations in its scope.
I think
really.
budget was probably a reason. Like if you
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at
but mhm.
the two games side by side, this game is so much more well funded. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
You know.
hmm
Did you want
But
to
it
add
w-
anything else about A Way
no,
Out?
no, I think that was pretty much it. In terms of other games, I can't think of any new ones. Really,
No,
any
no.
other new ones? No.
No, I just wrote down here some nostalgia points. Just it made me think of the times where I used to play games like X-Men on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And I used to play, I even played the first Borderlands game, couch co-op, and I thought, man, these were some of the best moments in gaming for me. Like, there's nothing like it. I don't know what it is, but split screen, as awful as it kind of is, in how it destroys your aspect ratio of your TV, it's still kind of fun because you can see what the other person's doing and you get that interesting perspective. And
Yeah, I
it
think
feels
it's
more
really. I
connected.
think I don't get the people who are like, but what if the aspect ratio? You can't see everything.
Right.
But like that's the game. That's the mechanic of the game. It's so you can see what the other person is doing, so you can coordinate properly. Like
Yeah.
it's if you use your brain 1% more, you'll figure it out. why people like split screen. But yeah, I also remember some games I used to play as a kid. I can't remember which one it is, but there was this Transformers game I used to play on PS2. It was I don't think it was split screen, but it was couch co-op in that somebody commandeered the main Autobot. I think it was Optimus Prime, and somebody else was like a little drone thing that flew next to him. And like the drone could like go.
Who the fuck would pick the drone thing?
The drone was cool. Like it could go in tight spaces
Really?
and like how and help him in like really interesting ways. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing that too.
Yeah, you just reminded me of another game. Did you ever play The Incredibles on the PlayStation 2?
Yes. Yeah.
So you could either play Mr. Incredible. What's the ice guy's name? Freeze Man or
I forgot, but I know what you're talking about.
Let's go with Freeze Man. Who the hell wants to play Mr. Incredible when you could like surf around on ice and shit? That's so much cooler. Like,
yeah.
That's the one problem with these games, actually, is that sometimes you actually want to play as the other character, and we had this.
I'd say
someone
Cody,
gets the better powers, right?
I'd say Cody was consistently better or cooler, or he got cooler powers. I'd say, yeah.
So that's one.
And Cody also was generally the one who initiated cooperation. I've noticed that as well.
Maybe back to It Takes Two in terms of power ups. Something we could quickly cover. There was obviously quite a few different variations. I really enjoyed the first set of powers and the magnets, but the first set of powers where one of us had the sledgehammer and then the other, and then Cody had the nails.
Sorry, I just remember.
Do you remember the whack?
Yeah, because I was the one with the sledgehammer, and I remember there's this part where you have to hit the nail so that the platform comes up for the other person to go on it, but it goes down the moment like you let go. So I just kept on whacking the right trigger like constantly, and it looked like just a maniac doll.
No, it looked like something from Looney Tunes at this point.
Yeah.
It was doink doink doink. There's so much. This is the thing that I think makes the games fun. Is like, okay, what I provide this utility to you with this cool power, and at the same time, you're kind of jealous of my power, like, and I'm jealous of yours, and that dynamic is very fun. Unfortunately, I really hated some of the powers. Like, there's this Cody could become a plant, like he could become like a tomato.
I mean, that was the only section in the game I kind of disliked. It had a cool part where you're running from a mole, but that was about it.
So fun. That was so cool.
I really actually disliked that bit. Now, here's the thing. I generally dislike areas that are, what do you call them? Not jungle areas, but areas where there's carnivorous plants and and poison ivy and like garden. I really dislike them. I don't know why. It could be because I have some traumatizing memories from playing E.T. on the PC as a kid. I think it could be that, but I don't know. Yeah,
maybe you do, man. I don't know. You need a psychiatrist for that. I'm sorry, there's not this podcast. A few last details. I like the idea of the Rainbow Road, kind of a nod to Mario at the end, where you're going down this rainbow disco track on a disco ball, and then you're surfing, and it's almost like a race. Very fun. And we had this mixing of DJ that we talked about, where you can create your own track, which we did. We actually spent quite a bit of time resetting all the audio inputs, and then setting the bass, the melody, and that, and it was really fun.
Yeah, if anything, something I was gonna say in the part where you mix the track, some of the inserts they don't you can't hear them very clearly,
Right. Yeah, that's true.
and it's not my gear's fault for sure. And I even checked the master volume and everything. I think it was just because the music, or I don't know, something was overpowering it in the game. So that was a little bit of a weird thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose I wanted to just conclude my general thoughts to say this was one of my favorite games I've played of this year. Granted, we're only in April, but um, really love this kind of stuff, and
Mm.
I want more of it. But at the same time, there's this fatigueness that I feel when I play these kind of games. Like halfway through to three-quarters of the way through, I'm kind of getting tired. But it's just such a fun experience. It doesn't matter
Mm.
in retrospect. Do you have any like final thoughts about the game? Maybe if you could
Yeah.
speak to the developers, would you give any words of encouragement?
Yeah, but I'd say definitely keep on doing what you're doing because you're real creative fuckers, like truly creative in every sense of the word. And you're doing justice to these types of games and even breathing new life into them.
Hmm.
And even though, like I said, I don't think it'll overtake regular multiplayer. I still think it might blow up. I think it might turn into a thing again. And
Hmm.
I can imagine, as much as I hate TikTok, I can imagine some kind of TikTok thing blowing it up even more. So, yeah, have a it has a bright future. Now, as I said, there's an issue of it where it gets fatiguing, and then
Hmm.
you don't enjoy it as much. I think something that could, without like major effort and major redesigning of the systems, I think something that could help keep you going even past that point is a compelling story. Now,
Yeah.
I know that it shouldn't be like a really deep, rich story because the point is just to have fun, but something a little bit more compelling, a little bit less Disney movie, I think would have
Yes.
made me give it an even higher score. So yeah.
I'm just going to add to that by saying maybe any of the listeners will understand or remember this game. Lord of the Rings Conquest comes to my mind like immediately as this game that had the great story, the role playing game mechanics in the split screen couch co op format. Did you play Conquest at all?
No, no.
Really missed out, I would say. It's one of my favorite couch co op games where you could choose a hero like playing as Aragon or Gandalf, and you have
Really?
like set pieces. Yeah, yeah, it was really fun. Missions, and you had an overarching story as well. It was really fun, and
Yeah, that sounds dope. Yeah.
it kind of had like a Diablo thing where
I feel like
every
I
character had powers
probably
too.
did play it, but I just can't remember. I feel like it. But
One just to wet your tonsils a little bit more. You also had would you say a good guy and villain story paths. So you could play as like the Witch King and Sauron as in one storyline.
really, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it was a fucking great game, and they tried to make Lord of the Rings War in the North, which I didn't think was as good. I just wanted to mention that.
That's the one I played, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's not as
Yeah.
good, by the way, nowhere near as good,
Mm.
because you had to play as three characters that were very weak. And
Oh shit! I just remembered another one.
go on then, we've got time. Go for it, Pete. What
Now
do
this
you
is gonna
got?
this is gonna be a weird one, but
No, no, no.
what you just described with the three characters, blah blah, it reminded me of something else. Now I don't remember if it's a couch co-op, but I remember that there are different characters. There was this Narnia game. Um,
Oh yes, I
you know what
played
I'm
that.
talking about?
It
I
was
think
on
it
the
was,
PlayStation 2.
yes, Prince
I played that.
Caspian. I think that was the one.
Yeah, I
Or
played that. There was more than one, by the way. I played all of
yeah,
them.
and it kind of had that thing where you play as different characters and you
It was
control
really
them.
good.
But was it couch co-op? That's what I'm trying to remember. I'll
It
just
wasn't split screen.
it was.
It was not split screen.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay, never
You
mind.
had the screen would. There's sometimes these kinds of games the screen will zoom out so you
Hmm.
can see more as the characters move.
Hmm.
It was very good though.
Yeah.
Do you remember a mission in that game where you had to hide from like you're in an orphanage and you have to hide from this woman? Do you remember?
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
That was one mission that I remember getting scared crapless over because
Hmm.
she looks underneath the table and everything.
Yeah, so there was local co-op with two players
Yes.
actually.
Basically, any game that with cooperative is really brings back that nostalgia, I think.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I really don't have much else to say. I just wanted to plug
Me
the
neither.
Conquest thing. Check it out on YouTube, by the way, if you haven't. Conquest, and it's a great game. Anyway, yeah. So couch co-op game segment kind of concluded.
Yep.
I think we agree. It Takes Two. Our average mean score was about 8 out of 10. You were
Yeah.
7.5,
Mhm.
being a bit harsh there, but you had you explained your reasons why very well. So that's it from the Sauvignon Blanc. How you doing, Pete?
I'm good.
All right. All right. Sauvignon Blanc out.